The following program is available in high definition on Channel 700. This program is designed and produced by the community with the support of TV Kojiko.
Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. This is the show that talks about the topics that matter to Oakville, and today the topic is the economic development vision that we have before us at Oakville Council for a life sciences park next to the new hospital up on Dundas at Third Line. And with us today to talk about that are the proponent of the project, Dr. Joseph Dableh, and Councillor Pam Damoff, who's been very active in the economic development work in our town, and Marc, the Vice President of Cushman Wakefield, a commercial real estate firm. And Marc has a personal connection to this story too. Dr. Dableh, can you tell us how your vision came to be? What made you come up with this?
Okay, we moved to Oakville in 2002, and we set up shop, a technology company called Fifth Light Technology that started out with 3 people, and within the span of about 6-7 years, it grew to about 45 people. So I was looking for space to build a headquarters for that rapidly growing company, quite successful, and to bring in a concept and making every light bulb an intelligent appliance, dimmable, controlled by the web. So we needed really to accommodate our growth, and I was seeking a place to build a headquarters.
You invented something that allowed me to control the lights from my smartphone, basically.
Absolutely.
All right, that's 21st century if I ever heard of it. Now this must have succeeded a little bit.
It did succeed to the degree that we disrupted the way that the lighting industry operate, and we became the target of takeover from the biggest company in the world, such as the Philips, the Cooper Electric, the Samsung, and we end up selling the company to Cooper Electric, who in turn was acquired by Eaton. So that happened about 3 years ago. And this transaction had taken place before we even found a convenient location to set up 60,000 square foot headquarters for the company. So the connection with Marc and one of his colleagues, Paul Morrison, was that they said, look, we couldn't find you 3 to 5 acres, but now we found you 30 acres. And since you don't have the company, but now you can have the land, you can divide it up, build what you like, and sell the rest.
So you, as I understood it, were also interested along the way to create a center for incubation of new businesses like yours.
That is correct. This is the second attempt at retirement. And every time after 3 months or 6 months, my children and my wife realize that they have to find me something to be busy with. and they really suggested that having gone through different cycle of innovation and bringing idea from concept to reality, from my time with Ontario Hydro, where I came with a big fix for the nuclear CANDU reactor, to my time at McMaster, through the Fifth Light Technology, and quite a very long pipeline of idea. Some of them have already been patented and waiting to be brought out from the laboratory into the marketplace. They said that you have quite a legacy, and maybe the best thing you could do is to build a research incubator where not only you could do your research, you could mentor a future generation of innovators and provide to them the environment where you would like to have it if you were to do it again.
So now, as I understand it, your incubation piece of this is part of phase 1, and Marc, the doctor's talking about 3 phases the last time I checked with him. As a professional in this field, would you agree with his approach that he should do it in phases?
Certainly. The Oakville office market is pretty strong right now as a whole, and has shown in the last couple of years to be a great location for amalgamation of companies in general from areas like Hamilton, Mississauga, Toronto, with its infrastructure and accessibility. So we've seen a lot of growth over the recent years. Up at Third Line and Dundas, so it's certainly going to be some pioneering involved there as far as getting that density in place, and it's not going to happen overnight. So a staged development process is I think, going to be required. Certainly some patience, but creating a park of like-minded individuals, a research park, excuse me, not unlike McMaster Innovation Park out Hamilton Way. It really should prove to attract those larger companies to that location, simply for that reason, and obviously with the new Oakville Hospital there, it's a great starting point.
So Pam, you were part of the council that came up with our four-part economic our economic development strategy to focus on advanced manufacturing, professional offices, digital, and life sciences. How do you feel about how many bases this hits from those four?
You know, it's in a great location. It's going to address all four of those, but especially, you know, the life sciences part of it, and bringing high quality jobs to Oakville. It's something that we've worked hard as a council to do, is bring employment to Oakville and bring quality jobs. Our way of life here in Oakville attracts business, it attracts people. So I mean, I think it's a win on all accounts to be bringing it here. I also think, you know, Marc had mentioned staging it, but I think when that Oakville Hospital is actually open to the public, I think people will be amazed at I don't think there's really a concept right now of just what is being built. It's the largest infrastructure project, I think, in Ontario, was it not? It's credit to the previous council, because I wasn't on there, but I have been on the council that has voted to pay for it. But I think, you know, once that's open and people see what's there, it's going to be a huge benefit to attracting that type of business into the business park that you're proposing to build there.
There's the most important credit goes to voting to pay for it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had it. So you did well on that. Don't be shy about that. Now, you know, in our economic development strategy, we call for the creation of 1,000 new jobs a year. That's sort of our target. This past year, I think we did 1,400 or 1,500. And if we ever go below 1,000, I hope people will remember the excess and average it out. But this proposition of 12,000 here over whatever length of time it takes will certainly go a long way to ensure the success of those, the successful meeting of those targets. Let's ask the control room to put up a picture of the artist's conception of what it looks like. And now you can see on our studio monitor. And Dr. Dableh, maybe you could describe the components.
Okay.
Just give us a bird's eye view of what's supposed to be there.
Basically, the town of Oakville had the vision of turning this parcel of land into a health science node. I had the vision of putting the research and technology incubator, technology accelerator place. So we combined the two. But what we didn't want to do is to build an office building out far somewhere where people have to drive. Even if they want to have a good lunch, they have to leave the building to go somewhere else to get a good meal. So we wanted to provide all the services that are right on site for the people who are working there. Now, it came to reason that no business could survive without a residential component. So this is why we thought about having a 3 precinct, the health science node, and that is literally the row of building along Third Line, right across from the hospital. Okay. There will be in the middle of it a hotel and a conference facility to be a central focal point to also service the hospital, as well as the new company and conferences that will be induced by this large number of technology and health science companies. In the middle, we intend to locate the research incubator just north of where the stormwater management. This stormwater management has been reconfigured, or we're trying to reconfigure it in a way to provide two functions, to provide the functional storage facility for what it was supposed to be designed, but to also provide a water feature and a skating ring on the side, on the north leg of that H that is in blue.
I was going to say, it looks like a boat basin.
Literally. It's not large enough for big boat, but it will be certainly for toy boat, a remote control boat, that's for sure. We have a little bit of a platform to indicate that that could be a central area for festival, for cultural activity, and we're designing this district that if you want to close it for traffic completely, there is still connectivity through the continuous parking underground. Now, on the eastmost side of the district is where we're concentrating the residential element that will provide really the full functional of that district, where you can work, live, play, and learn.
So this resembles in many ways the planning concepts that are behind the Midtown Urban Growth Center in the province's Places to Grow plan, right?
It certainly is.
And the only thing missing is the GO train, but if the province really does build the BRT along Dundas, I guess you've got pretty close to the same equivalent.
Absolutely, and we wish in the fullness of time, because in this one here, our early estimate is 12 to 15,000 people, place for 12 to 15,000 people to work there, and as much as 4 to 5,000 people to live there. That is combined with the 4 to 5,000 people who will be working or volunteering at the hospital, not counting patients. That will create enough of critical mass to justify that transportation system.
So in effect, you'll help make sure that the higher order transit happens.
Indeed, indeed. We'll give it enough reason to make it highly efficient and highly usable, so it isn't like building it in the middle of nowhere.
Well, this is a very promising start. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk about how this unfolds. What piece goes first? Dr. Dableh, I'm hoping that your research part goes first, but we'll come back and find out when we resume Oakville Matters. Thanks for rejoining us here on Oakville Matters. We're talking about the town's economic development vision for the Life Sciences Park around the new hospital. There's 200 acres that surrounds the new Oakville Hospital, and on 30 of those acres, the easterlymost 30 acres, Dr. Joseph Dableh is proposing a life sciences city, I would call it, an urban growth center in its own right. And the man who helped not only get Dr. Dableh into that area, Marc Danko here, also was involved in the creation of the first sort of urban growth area that Oakville had back in the 90s, the Uptown Core it was called then, or Oak Park as it's also known. Marc, why don't you walk us through the story?
Yeah, so before the break, Joseph had talked about the mix of use in the Life Sciences Park that's proposed there, and I liken it to the Uptown Core. I was involved in that from the beginning when it was a lot of fields up there. That took on the same, so we're talking Dundas and Trafalgar Road area, obviously. That involved a mix and the same theme: live, work, play. You've got the added bonus of a learning environment there with the research going on. And Oak Park is, again, it's still developing and it's still growing, but thus far it's been quite successful in with the combination of all of those uses. Again, the office product, the retail product, both big box and smaller stores. Certainly the service elements in there with the restaurants and whatnot, and then the high density, low density residential. It all comes together and works well, so you don't end up with that kind of a suburban desert at night or on the weekends, right? So each one of those services has supported each other, and I see that area continuing to grow. So creating something like that, certainly the two areas are in a bit of a different location in terms of accessibility, but your comment with the rapid transit and BRT is, would certainly be helpful for that.
After the success that Brampton and Mississauga had with the province saying, and by the way, you should pay for all of our rapid transit, I guess we have to join that chorus.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Makes
Pam,
everybody's commute easier.
Pam, as a member of council, you have really good ties with the members of council in the north, and especially in the Oak Park area, and you know lots of people in the Oak Park area, and you know how much they love their neighborhood, their community. Can you talk about how they address the distance between where we are now there and the full promise of the place?
Well, it's younger people that are moving in there. It's an area of Oakville where you can move in, start a family, and really embrace their community. And we often forget that Oakville includes Oak Park and everything that's north, and it's a community unto itself, and they love Oakville just as much as everyone does, and are quite proud to be part of our community. And certainly, when we see people coming to council are extremely passionate about their community and where they live and where they work, and I completely agree about the rapid transit, and I think we've got friends in the province that will hopefully help us with that. But it's a great community to live and work and play, and it's just going to continue to get better.
I've noticed a parallel thing. There are older residents of my southeast Oakville neighborhood who deal with the empty nest phenomenon by moving to Oak Park, and they find that a very congenial semi-urban environment, and they like that vitality that you were talking about, Marc. That in my kind of very suburban neighborhood, you can't walk to anything from my house. You can walk to the bus stop. Dr. Dableh, what's your sense of how long this is going to take and what's going to happen first?
Okay. We are trying to take a very aggressive approach, but yet very conservative. So out of the $5.25 million foreseen space in total, phase one will constitute in the minimum $1.5 million. In all likelihood, it is close to 1.6, 1.7 million, and it could be as much as 2.5 million, depending on the market and effort. So phase one would be at least 33%, 1.5 million square feet of space, and about 4,000 parking stops. What we're working very closely with the staff from the town of Oakville and from the Halton region is to allow us to start with every element of that community at the same time. So when we deliver my technology building, and definitely I assure you that will be one of the first buildings that will go, so is the medical center behind the hotel. We will hopefully be able to, right from phase one, deliver a complete community. That's very essential. And we have learned this lesson from observing and studying at least 12 similar, what we call incubator or economic accelerator in many, many cities across North America. And we learn from the mistake of the past, and we're applying all this wisdom into this district.
So I want to check with Pam and Marc about, it sounds aggressive to talk about that much as step one. And Marc, of course, we understand is in this business, but Pam for many years has worked on Bay Street as a real estate analyst. Marc and Pam, I know aggressive can work in business. When I started YTV, it was pedal to the floor, and I know aggressive works. But sounds big to me. What's your take on this, Pam, and then Marc?
It is big, but sometimes you have to dream big in order to make it come true. So, I mean, I think you're being conservative in your approach as well, and I think go for the big part of it and look for the tenants and It's aggressive. There's no doubt, but you're also being realistic, and I think with the support of strong commercial real estate industry, with support from the town, if you're doing it in stages, I mean it's certainly doable, and like I said, if you don't dream big, and I honestly believe that when the hospital is open, I don't think that anyone has a concept of the impact it's going to have on that area. I think it's going to be huge, and you're placed at the right place at the right time, because you're right there, and it's not open yet, and you're already making your plans. So, I mean, that's so much of business, is just being in the right place at the right time, as you were with your light bulb.
Absolutely.
Right.
So Marc, what's your take?
Well, same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's an aggressive plan, but you do have to be aggressive with these plans. Oakville's done very well as far as commercial real estate over the last number of years. Certainly attracting those companies from far that have looked to amalgamate locations in Oakville. But there is only so much demand for the traditional office user and real estate, and again, they've traditionally tried to locate along that QEW corridor and whatnot. But the advantage of this park I see, and it's not unlike maybe even Meadowvale, if you talk about Pill Hill, as I call, right, with a collection of pharmaceutical companies. So there's always an interest with, again, like-minded companies to come together. And the Oakville Hospital, if anybody's had a chance to go through that, I mean, it blows your mind in terms of the thought put into that and the size, and I think that's going to be huge in attracting some of these life sciences business. But I also do think that it's going to be important, and I believe that's part of Joseph's plan here, is to go far, market this both nationally, internationally, globally, if you will, and I think it's going to be a real hub.
I'm going on a trade mission to China in June, and I'd be glad to take a few illustrations along to bring, because it's an amazing economy there. They're looking for places to diversify outside of China.
And that will be key.
And we have a very large and very successful Chinese community in our town now, thousands and thousands. So there's definitely an opportunity to build a bridge there, I think. Marc, one of the things as mayor that I've been struck by is how much faster the office market has been to come to Oakville than the projections that I was given forecast. We've blown through all the, I guess forecasts in the municipal sector tend to be a little timid maybe. Certainly the results tell me that the forecasts were lowballing. Is there, how much more is there to come? What's going on? Is it that Mississauga and Toronto are just built out, or unaffordable?
Yeah, I mean, they're not making any more land, as they always say, right? And Oakville has been well positioned recently, and more so than Burlington or Hamilton or Mississauga, in that our location allows for that amalgamation of companies, and companies are looking to downsize, and everybody's looking to get more efficient with their space. So by pulling several offices together, Oakville's benefited as of late because of our location. In addition to the lifestyle, there's a lot of presidents, CEOs, CFOs in Oakville, as we know. Everybody likes to reduce their commutes. So Oakville, with the GO train stop at Trafalgar and Cross Avenue there, I think that's one of the busiest stops in the entire GO line.
It is the busiest outside of Union, and it was the first GO train ran from there to Union Station in '67 with Premier Robarts aboard.
Yeah. So it's done well in that regard, and will continue to do well. But again, there's only so much demand, and so I think to create a specific park, and it may take on a different look during the development and whatnot, and you're still going to need those ancillary services that support the life sciences business, the accounting, the financial, all of the other stuff as well, right? So,
Pam, we've worked hard as a council to burnish and shine a brand for Oakville as the place to be. Do you want to talk about how you feel about that and where you think we can go with that?
Well, I was thinking that when Marc was talking. I mean, one of the things that does attract the CEOs and the presidents and the employees who work at these companies is our quality of life. And the fact that we do maintain our green space. We've worked really hard to provide green space, to grow in a smart way, which is what this is doing. We're growing in a way that's smart. And so it just, it's something that our quality of life is important to all of us on council, and so it does draw people here, and I'm really proud of what we've done. And I was thinking too, as you were talking, we also have the Bronte Go, which is straight down Third Line, which will bring people straight up Third Line right into the center of your business park. That's
At the Region of Halton, on the Health and Social Services Committee, we recently received a report that said, delightfully, that Oakville residents are the longest lived in Canada and the healthiest. And I couldn't help but think of you and active transportation, because you've really been quite the proponent of active transportation. And staying active can only increase those numbers for us. And our active transportation plan, which is maybe too bureaucratic a term, trails and pathways and lanes for bikes and rollerblades and walking. In the 30 seconds or so that we have left, do you want to say anything about that?
Well, I think it's just a benefit for everyone to walk, cycle, get out and get moving, and do it as often as possible, and it just makes it good economically, environmentally, and for our health.
Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us today on Oakville Matters as we look at one of the exciting stories that's happening on the side of the new Oakville Hospital. I hope that the next time we get together to talk about Oakville Matters that you'll join us again. Thanks for being with us today.